You're good.
Okay, we're good to go?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll start by the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Just want to start out with, the governor has, again, had one of his infamous news conferences today, and he has said he has no plans for New York budget cuts before the election. We are in the midst of doing county budgets throughout the state, and it's ridiculous to expect counties to budget when he has said all along, and his budget director has said all along, that there'll be 20% cuts coming down from the state on state aid and grants and other things. We did receive our host community monies at the county with a 20% cut. So I believe that this governor is not being genuine, and what he's saying, there's no plans for New York budget cuts before the election. There's no reason why he should wait till after the election. He owes the taxpayers of New York State an explanation, and to tell it straight the way that it should be told. That New York State is in great financial trouble. I personally think that New York State is almost on the brink of insolvency, and he needs to come clean with the New York State taxpayers and his constituents. All of them in New York State, whether they voted for him or not, and quit playing politics and be truthful so that all the counties can do their budgets, which represent all of the people in New York State, and we can serve the public honestly and truthfully and diligently like we need to. That's all I've got to say on that subject. I didn't think he was being too genuine when he announced that today, because we all know there's cuts coming. I think he's counting on the federal government to come across with money, and frankly, I don't have too much faith in the federal government either. The Congress walked out and decided to go home this week and left all of the people in our nation in a lurch amongst this COVID-19, which is none of our faults here in the United States or New York State or our county, and they're there to help us, and they've turned their backs on us and walked out, and I don't think that's right. So with that, we'll move on to our agenda. So I have our approval of minutes from the September 2nd, 2020 board meeting. I need a motion for that.
So moved, John.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second.
Second, John.
Second by Mr. Brushkevich. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, next, we've had a problem with our boilers here in the town office building. After 9 years, we have found out that our boiler system is a household boiler system, and the heat exchangers are very thin. They're made out of cast aluminum, and they don't work well even with the city water, and so we're looking to replace the 3 of them on an emergency basis. It'll be 19, what's the total, Beth, on that?
19 for the 2 and 8 if you want the third one.
Yep.
So between the 3 of them,
Yep.
got like 20,
$27,000.
Yep.
These are commercial boilers that have stainless steel heat exchangers in them. We don't have to treat the water, which apparently with the aluminum ones, you had to treat the water. Nobody told us that when they were installed or when they were fixing them here a year or so ago. So I'd like to be able to get these going before heating season. They can start right in tomorrow or Friday on the system if you guys give me the okay. We do have the money for it, so.
This is gonna be an emergency purchase.
Emergency purchase.
But I'll prepare a resolution documenting that.
Right. So I need a motion.
I'd move that, John.
Motion by Jeff Martin, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Tom Cott. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, for stormwater assistance proposal, which everybody has. For next year's budget, I'm going to talk to Soil and Water and see if they'll take over our, MS4 stormwater, administration for a fee. They could use the help and we could use to get rid of this pain in the neck that's hanging around our head all the time. Andy, do you wanna speak to MS4 at all on what a pain in the neck it is for you too?
Well, I mean, the highway department's been a pain in the neck, and it is a pain in the neck as far as, the reporting, they want you to check all the outfalls at least once a year. So anywhere the water is discharged, you're supposed to check that, do a report, on a yearly basis, all the catch basins, a report, and also, just in the highway department, it's been kind of a pain over there. So, but we have everything straightened out with the highway department.
Bartlett Juice wants $5,700 to be able to do that. They were going to monitor YouTube. Does Ken Knudsen have any questions or anything to say about that at all?
No
Yeah?
questions yet.
No questions, okay. So I'll need a motion to, have them take care of this for us. I need a motion to accept the contract.
So, John.
Motion by John B., second.
I'll second it, John.
Second by Jeff Martin. Is there any discussion?
We really don't have much choice on this.
No.
We have to follow this
Yes.
MS4
Yep.
stormwater plan.
You say that we might
So
be able to
you're
get out of
hoping
that.
next year that soil and water
Yeah.
would do it?
Yeah, for next year. I gotta sit down and talk to Andy about that.
Okay.
So we'll have to do it next year.
I don't know if he'll want to or not, yeah, it'll be for next year's budget year. I don't know if he'll want to or not, if he's prepared to do it, I don't know. I would think that they know all the MS4 stuff and everything.
It's hard, I mean, he calls me and asks me a lot of questions, I just answer the best I can.
Andy from up the soil and water?
No,
Oh, from that, from
Yeah,
DEC?
Dave,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, oh, David, yeah. You know, they want the catch basins cleaned out every so often and everything, it's just, and Madison County has to fill out the same report, and we tried to get, this all on one report, because it's all the same area,
Right.
and DEC wouldn't take it because, they see this as a money generator, which it is for them, and that's the way it is. So, we have a motion and a second. Anybody have any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, next we have Barton and Lejudas' amendment number 3 for GIGP. That was, to finish up the project, for the pavement in front of the fire station, for the amendment for that, and for, that little section, 3-foot section that we did on the North Road, for the lady by her mailbox that was left off. So they're looking for, I think, $7,500,
$8,000.
$8,000, and that should close the project out, correct?
That's what they told us.
Yeah, so I need a motion for this, to be able to close this out.
I'll make it.
Motion by Tom Cott, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ranger. Is there any, discussion?
Does this come out of some of the grant money you pay this or just?
No, this, I think, is part of what we have to pay.
Come on, Mark, contingent.
Yep.
I see they were out there finishing up, cleaning everything up. It looks nice. It really is, so.
It's unfortunate on this, in front of the fire department, I wish we had recognized that would be a drainage issue initially, but I guess as you put stuff in, you get a better taste for it, but if you think about it, we knew that was ground there, and we knew that water would run somewhere, but, as I said, sometimes on a project you see things that you don't see initially. Cause it really washed out, we had a couple of heavy rains, washed everything right out of the center of the drain area.
Oh,
So,
it did? It didn't do what it was supposed to?
Well, it got the water there pretty quick, a little too quick.
From the fire department, the whole southwest corner of the fire department, all that water would run to the east.
Right.
And it would run so hard, it was washing out everything that was put in that corner, so, went back to the drawing board and asked if they could get, more money to do the fire department. They're doing they did the porous drainage.
Yes.
And so I called and asked that, well, if you're gonna do the porous drainage, we gotta get the water to the porous drainage. You can't just do the porous drainage when the water isn't running that way, because the way the fire department was paid, it wasn't going that way. So they agreed to pay for everything except for the top coat that we were gonna put in place. So the fire department has a completely new parking lot for the front for $9,000, and we haven't got that bill yet.
Yeah, they called, and my concern was, and Bart Judas, when I talked to them about this, that my concern was, is that porous, asphalt gonna hold up under the trucks, and they thought that it would. It was in a couple other places that they had.
They asked that question. I know the engineers spent a lot of time on focusing on whether it would, and they did come up with that it would, so.
Good.
But it looks really nice, and it works.
It looks great.
It does.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Does Ken have anything he wants to say on there?
Nothing
No,
yet.
Nothing?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, we have a snow plowing agreement in front of us, from AJB, I believe it is. Beth had a few people come and look at it. We've got one of our parks employees is gonna be out, for a while, and wanted to make sure that we were covered here, so, we thought that it would be easier for everybody just to, contract this out, and it would be taken care of. Beth met with them and stressed on them how important it is to have the troopers and the ambulance cleaned out all the time, and how it's important to have this sidewalk out here and everything salted, and this is the price that we got for the season.
John, I'll prepare if you approve this, I'll prepare a formalized actual contract incorporating the proposal.
Okay. So I need a motion for this, we need a motion.
So moved, John.
Motion by John B., second.
I'll second it, John.
Second by Jeff Martin. Okay, discussion? Okay, all in favor, Tom, do you want to?
No, I just, I knew Lou was gonna be out, Lou
Yeah.
usually does it, and, yeah, see how it works out.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay. Next, we have a personnel policy update. We would like to, change the personnel policy that, states that, any new hires will go through the town board, before they're hired. Also with, salaries, that they'll go through the town board before, they're accepted. Also with a background check. We're gonna go into executive session, so if you have any questions, you can ask them in there. So, I'd like to pass this into the personnel policy, if we could, please. Need a motion.
I'll make it.
Motion by, Carrie, is there a second?
Second, John.
Second by John B. Is there any discussion?
Is this a common thing, John, in many towns this is most towns operate, the approvals go through the town board?
It's different in different places, and there's different opinions on how certain things work, but generally, a general employee of the town is hired by the town board. There are exceptions to that as, given opinions by certain groups like the Attorney General's office, the Comptroller's office, and so on and so forth. But I think what you're talking about doing right now is adopting a general policy subject to applicable provisions of law, I would think.
Any other discussion?
Is that going to include the highway department?
Yes. That's why I'm gonna discuss it. Well, without going into executive session, we change, we can modify it afterwards, but I'd like to get it done now and then we can discuss it in executive session. If that's okay.
Well, I would like to discuss, definitely would like to discuss that.
Yeah. So what's your pleasure?
Are we in a hurry?
No, we're not in a hurry, but this would require us to come back out of the executive session after we're in executive session to adopt this, if that's what we're gonna do.
Gotcha.
Which is no problem, but, you know, we got a lot of stuff for executive.
The other
session.
option would be to add the language subject to applicable law, so the policy would make it subject to whatever the law is on those issues would guide those hirings. Cause by and large, your hirings are gonna be by the town board, but there are exceptions under the law for certain things. So it's gonna be up to you.
Well, without getting into that too far,
Mm-hmm.
I think highway law does say that,
and that's what I'm gonna get into.
and I don't have my law book with me, but, so.
So that's how we'll have to do this then, if that's, everybody has concerns, which that's what I'm understanding right now, so we'll have to go into executive session to discuss this, and then we'll come back out and adopt this policy, cause I would like it adopted as soon as possible. Okay? Okay,
So you're gonna table the motion or table a vote on the motion for now?
yes. Motion to table.
Motion
For
to
now.
table.
Motion to table, second. Second by Mr. Cobb, it's tabled. Okay, a motion to hire Kelly Bassett, at the salary of $45,000 to be the assistant comptroller. Beth has done, some interviews, and she feels comfortable that Kelly, would be a great asset to the, comptroller's office. She knows payroll, she worked for Casanova Equipment for 22 years, and, I can attest she's, got a great work ethic, and I think she'd be a good fit for, the town here, so. On that, I think I will make the motion to be able to hire Kelly. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jeff Martin. Is there any discussion?
That position's been open, so it's just be filling that position.
Yes, it's been open
for a
since,
while.
March,
March.
so, any other discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, solar moratorium discussion, that's coming up and we need to, do something about that, whether we extend it. I think we just let it sunset and not worry about it for now. Phil and, Frank Park Planning Board Chair has some concerns, about north of Route 31, which I have concerns of that myself. They're talking about certain agricultural area, which if we wanna amend it, we can do it that way.
This one will expire, the one we have in place expires on December 12th.
Okay, so we got time to.
There's time, if you wanted to, you could ask me to bring back a different moratorium for solar application for large solar north of Route 31 within the town of Sullivan. I could do it.
I think we just wanted to have areas, I got that map and I sent it to you,
Right.
which doesn't really
Yeah.
tell us much of anything
Yeah.
from, county planning, but, I think we wanna move forward to allow folks to be able to do some of this stuff, but, you know, in certain areas. So, I don't know if we wanna go through a whole nother moratorium
It's
for.
up to you and the board,
Yeah.
it's whatever you wanna do, just advise me, cause what it'll take, it takes 2 meetings, which is introduce a local law, have public hearing the next meeting and adopt it. And it's like 2 actions, easy peasy, not a lot of work on our end, but I wanna make sure I capture what the board's wishes are.
I think there's gonna be another town board meeting this month, with this PDD, so I think what I'll do is I'll talk to Frank and to Phil, and we'll get something in some language, get it in front of everybody at that meeting where you're gonna do the PDD, and then we can schedule a public hearing perhaps.
I don't think we're having enough time
September.
for, publication for the PDD, their next meeting's in 2 weeks, right?
Right.
Yes, but I'm saying, when you're meeting about the PDD.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which that's what you're gonna do, right, or no?
No, I thought, we were just talking
We were
about it,
just
that the best thing might be to schedule it for your first meeting in November, so that we can have a bigger meeting on
Okay.
the
Yes.
issue. always get together on a work session to talk more about things, but
Okay.
as far as a public hearing, I think I'm gonna need the first meeting in November. I've already sent a letter to the court asking for more time, and they've granted that.
Okay, so I think, then we work on Phil and, Frank on what we designed for a solar law. I think down Carrie's way, you'd agree that, you know, a 15-acre solar farm would not be suitable to certain neighborhoods down there.
No, and we've got
Even an 8-acre solar farm.
and we've got a, position down there right now where they're selling plots and planning on putting up some fairly large homes in that area. And obviously, that's the route we wanna take down there, you know.
We've got two that have approached us, and I looked them both up, and neither owner of the properties that wants to put these solar farms in lives in the town of Sullivan. So, you
Yeah.
know, that's always a catch when you don't have a stake in the community, so.
And we showed too, even with the applications that we had, that they keep getting this hand down, and you don't even know who the final person will be that.
Sure changers, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think these solar companies are doing is they're having somebody front up and come in and get all the okay and the permitting and stuff, and then they're taking and selling that
Yeah.
commodity.
I had it, 2 days ago, they're changing out who's bonding it and everything,
Yeah.
exactly right. A couple places I'm working, we're looking at ways to protect the highest value, soils, yeah.
For
You guys
agriculture.
know, for agricultural
Yeah.
purposes, and finding a way to keep these panels off of those prime soils, and then limiting, because once you do this, once the investment's made on the solar farm, you're minimum a 25-year investment, so those soils are out of production for at least 25 years. And I don't know how important, you guys know better than I do what you folks do. So it's something you can look at as part of, certain additional protections.
Farmland protection, right?
Mhm.
See, outside of Rome, they just added, some more solar panels.
How about that?
on the
How about
park.
that then?
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, I was going up through, that's 365 there, and they were chopping the corn early, and I said, boy, they were the first ones chopping corn, I said, what the heck are they doing? And then the following week, we went up through and, oh, that's a solar farm, so, yeah. And they built that solar farm literally in 3 days, I mean, they were moving. Yeah.
Well, you gotta watch out for what they do to our local roads too, because I know nearby Lennox, they have an issue with one of their roads right now.
There's a lot of problem with windmills.
Yeah, same thing.
We had a lot of legitimate concerns when we put together the moratorium.
Yes.
And I
Sure.
don't know if things have changed.
And then COVID
I
came
think
and
they still
sort of
do.
pushed us back on that, so if you decide to do a limited extension for a certain thing, I think it'd be legitimate. We just need to understand how the town wants to move forward with it.
Okay, do we have, any questions on that? No? All right, Mr. Martin, we'll turn it over to you on the PDD discussion.
Yeah, the process continues to move along. The planning board has had a chance to review the applicants. John, can you tell us what our next steps will be?
Okay, so the stage you're at now is the planning board, spent quite a bit of time working with the applicant, obtaining as much information as we could get from the applicant, to get in a position so that the planning board could make a recommendation to the town board as to how to proceed with the PDD request. You did receive a recommendation. It should be about an 8-page letter, very well thought out document by the planning board, very well balanced. They also gave you basically the entire set of documents that were presented to them that they reviewed in making the recommendation. So, at this stage, the planning board has recommended an approval of the PDD, subject to some of the concerns that are in the letter, so I do recommend everybody read it very carefully. But at this stage, you're in a position now, as the next step in the PDD process, to move his application towards a public hearing, which, because you gotta publish it, and we need to be, continue to accept some information from the applicant. I think we're waiting on a SWIP at this point, and a couple, modifications or additions to the actual plan that Frank had asked for, that those are on their way. So I would recommend that if anybody's gonna move it to public hearing, that it be done for your first meeting in November. And I suspect there'll be a fair amount of, public input on the project, or at least on the proposal.
And we wanna make sure that that people get adequate chance to speak up for that.
That's right. And I did do a public hearing, a resolution and notice, in your package, and I'll tighten that up depending on what the vote is and make sure everything gets published and posted the way it should be.
Okay. So the planning board has, made a recommendation to move forward. There are some incomplete documents that the applicant is finishing up, but the next step will be to do that public hearing. So we have a motion to do a public hearing.
So move.
Moved by John Rashevich. Have a second?
Second.
Second, Terry Ranger. Discussion.
I wanna point out that, our supervisor recused himself from this matter months and months and months ago, so he will not be voting on this issue.
I'll be abstaining.
Yeah, throughout the whole time, right?
No,
Even-
it's a no vote.
Oh, no, okay.
All right, if there are no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody nay? Motion's carries. John, proceed with it.
Okay. Okay,
I'm just abstaining.
I'll take it, so yeah, John Becker's abstaining. I'll follow up, Jeff, with you and make sure it's
Okay,
done correctly.
thank you.
Alright, for open session, Andy, did you wanna talk about that letter that we got from New York State?
Yeah, I wasn't prepared to talk about it, but it's pretty, simple at this point. So New York State sent out a letter to all the towns, counties, I'm not 100% sure on villages, but basically it's a shared
Villages, too.
service agreement.
Yeah.
And, so basically they're asking us to sign an agreement of up to $25,000. It's a 4-year agreement. And my question to John was, it's very vague.
It's very generic.
And, I feel like it does give you a place to put on there what services you're willing to offer. But with the current situation with the state, it felt kind of like maybe they had some other ulterior motive. I believe the county has entered into one, and they have been. I believe DeRuyter has been entered into the same contract, because they rely on the state quite a bit. But I just found it kind of odd that all of a sudden you get this letter, and I wasn't very comfortable signing a 4-year agreement.
I had an issue
Well, they
with
could come
that.
back on us to plow Route 5 or whatever. DeRuyter has, their main roads are state roads in the middle of DeRuyter, that's why they've done it. And the county, because they're traveling on the roads, that's why they've done it. But to stick your neck out and offer additional services to the state, I don't think it's.
I had asked, that agreement says in it, there's a provision that says that the municipality, such as the town of Sullivan, wherever it might be, agrees to indemnify the state of New York under this agreement. I countered with, how about we both, if we're gonna do this, you have to both identify each other. They said no, which I didn't think was a fair response, but that's where it stands. I don't think I can get that out of them now, because I was doing that on behalf of somebody else.
I think you guys got enough to do over there anyways, don't you?
So I sent out an email to all the highway superintendents in the town and county, and, I had some feedback that said I'm not signing it, I had some feedback that said I already signed it, maybe 50-50. So, our next meeting is October 20th, and we are inviting, the guy from New York State DOT to the meeting. He's agreed to come and at least, explain what is expected, or kind of go over this letter.
And don't forget, next year you'll be missing $75,000 from winter recovery and, stuff when you're questioning them and they're asking you to sign their contract.
Well, personally, I don't feel there's any, we participate in shared services with Madison County Highway, all the other towns, we're very active, and I'm a believer in shared services, but, anytime I ever call the state, you kind of get an attitude or a hard time, and they don't wanna come and get a branch out of the road. So, I don't feel the town of Sullivan really needs the state of New York, the state DOT for any services. So I guess I'm kind of basing it on that. They don't really have much to offer us that the county doesn't.
Well, and it's so vague, it says, to, maintain the roads. Are they gonna turn around and say, well, you got potholes on Route 5, you got patch paved Route 5, you gotta go pick up dead deer on Route 5? it's like most things for the state, it's pretty vague. Except for MS4, boy, they got us down on that one.
So I don't plan on, at this point, I do not plan on signing the letter. I would not sign the letter without board approval. So I'll have more information after that meeting.
Okay.
No letters will be signed.
Alright, very good, thank you. We have no firefighter applications, no budget modifications. Kate, do we have any questions that need to be answered right now?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Does anybody have any questions for open session here at all?
I have a couple
Yes,
things,
sir.
John. One, Sleepy Hollow Water District, I just wanna bring this back up again. We've been scrapping and fighting, trying to get the comptroller's office to approve this small district. They have problems with their water system, and yet been calling every week to the comptroller's office with one of the residents, and they have become totally non-responsive. So I guess at this point, I certainly hope residents understand that we're fighting to try to get these things, but it's disappointing that our state government cannot perform and help our local residents.
I've called myself, I've worked with the county and had our people from the county call to no avail. They sent back the Madison County Water District, which was kinda contentious with an okay. Now this thing here, the Sleepy Hollow Water District, they've got issues with their well. The health departments, sent letters in, support letters. These folks have unanimously approved this water district and unanimously approved the cost for this water district. And the comptroller's office is still giving us a hard time. It's totally ridiculous.
In addition, it's been approved by the state 2 other times, iterations of this.
So what's gonna happen is, if they keep dragging their feet, this is gonna go on, and we're gonna be out of the lane for costs. And of course, costs aren't getting any cheaper, and if they go up, we have to put this back out to bid. If we have to put it back out to bid and costs go up, we start on the merry-go-round all over again.
Right.
So again, the state is not, providing for the constituents like they should. And it's a shame, and they should be more responsive. I think they're hiding under the cloak of COVID, but, you know, this is a pretty slam dunk water district. Health issues unanimously approved by everybody in the district. It should be just a no-brainer, and okay, here you go.
I know sometimes, John, you've gone right down to the source, when you go to Washington and get things done. Is this something that's a possibility of doing?
This is for Albany. I don't know if I wanna travel to Albany anytime soon, so.
Well, you contacted state officials at
I
the
have
state level, I
I've
know you have
contacted
this.
Salka, John Salka, he has sent
Yeah.
emails, you know, I've had people reach into the comptroller himself,
Mhm.
and to no avail, so, you know, it's almost like it's stonewalling at this
Jeff's
point.
called directly,
Oh,
he's
I've
called my
called many
contact
times.
directly on numerous occasions, I've talked to my contact almost on a weekly basis, sometimes twice a week.
With no explanation whatsoever. So, on a more positive note, John, our former judge in the town, who's now the county judge, has come through a kidney transplant very well, he's doing quite well. So
That's
I wanna
good.
give everybody an update on Judge St. Ledger.
That's good.
He's doing well.
Glad of that.
Very good.
Yep.
And his wife is doing well as well.
Both of them, yeah.
Okay, on that note, we have a trick or treat drive-through, on Saturday, October 31st, from 1 to 4 p.m., ages 12 and under, the Town of Sullivan Parks and Rec Building. In this time of COVID, last year, we were, singing praises of, you know, we did the community survey, and, the Parks and Rec Department was our shining star here in the town, and it's value added, and people liked it because, you know, we run a lot of programs, and we've run up to 10,000 kids a year through some of the programs, and of course with COVID, it's like throwing a wet blanket on everything, with soccer programs and basketball programs and everything else. This will be one of the last events that, we have for the year, because we're just not getting anybody signed up, for the virtual events, which we understand, and, we're just not doing the in-person events right now until, this COVID thing is over with. parents aren't sending their kids or signing them up, which I don't blame them. So this is one of the last things we'll be doing probably for the year. It's the drive-through trick or treat, Saturday, October 31st, 1 to 4, ages 12 and under. Again, at the Town of Sullivan Parks and Rec Building, rain or shine, cause it's a drive-through. And you must pre-register, for a time slot at, the Parks and Rec Department, and it's sullivan.recdek.com, and it is a free event. So I encourage everybody to, with kids, sign up, take the kids and do the drive-through. I'm sure you'll have a scary time, so, we encourage everybody to do that. Does anybody have anything else for, our open meeting before we go into executive session for advice of counsel? No?
In addition to advice of counsel, will be to discuss a particular person's, employment or fitness.
Yes. Okay, Kate, we don't have any questions at all?
Oh, no questions.
All right, very good. So, I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Jeff, second. Second by Tom Kopp. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried.
Yep, stop filming, the pause.
Do you guys wanna do the personnel policy change, we'll come out of executive session for Bruce, then we'll go right back in again. Motion by Mr. Martin, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Kopp. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried.
Is that worth it, Bruce?
Yeah.
Hey, there you are.
Time's
You got
up.
paid the same salary as
getting paid by our hour, right?
Chancellor, right?
Yep, pays the same.
Jesus.
You're going back in?
Well, yeah, you're staying, right?
Me say?
Yes.
There we go.
You're good to go.
I'm good, right?
You're all set. Yep.
So you wanna accept
Thank
this?
you.